Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to Last Call BBS and 20th Century Food Court, where it is perhaps our last call. Last call in the food... Okay. Listen, you know what I'm trying to get across here. Don't act so confused. Here's where we're at. I built a set of belts that I think will allow us to accomplish the goal. I think. I'll be honest with you. I'm not super in love with how long it takes for this stuff to route. So as this machine is hooked up right now, it will actually run orders 1 and 4. These were what I was using to just sort of like look at it. And I don't love how long this takes. We're going to go ahead and play this. So this is a Maki order. Like, look at the path that this thing takes. Look how long that takes to reach where it's going. It feels like there must be a way to eliminate some of that dead time, but I've tried rerouting it a couple of times, and I wasn't able to figure anything out that was as simple. What I like a lot about this one is 3 of the pieces of Maki really don't go very far from the belt, and also we have this router here that doesn't have to be touched in the majority of cases. It is already facing the right direction for the nigiri and the sashimi. And like I said, I have order 4 wired up as well. Obviously, some of these are going to have to change as we run things, but like, this is a start, right? It's functional routing. It doesn't have any huge problems in the routing phase. My only concern here is once we plug in the actual logic parts of it, we might run out of rack space, but we have a lot to work with right now. I feel like this could work at the very least. So obviously these sequencers are they're very optimistic, right? They're just connected directly to fish outputs. They're not doing any kind of logic. We're going to have to figure something out. I figured that would be a good place to bring all in. Let's start figuring. So right now we just have a tuna Maki sequencer. We could run a salmon Maki sequencer as well. Like the first thing I wonder is, given that we can create these 2 dishes with the sequencers, why not just run a sequencer for the other 2 as well? Like, are we going to overrun? Because like the biggest danger there is hitting the overrunning a sequencer or overrunning a multi-mixer, right? Ending up with more than 4 inputs or more than 4 outputs, and things getting awkward there. We also let's do this really quickly because this is almost certainly going to have to happen, right? If we do the very simple stack -1, so this is just controlling this thing. So we need, in case of soup, in case of sashimi or nigiri, and in case of, right, it'd be 5 because it's the plate and then the 4 pieces of Maki. Yeah, okay. So this is how this stacker runs. It's pretty straightforward. We have this dead cycle thing at the end here, and we will see if we end up with enough rack space to correct it. Because, you know, we do have a way of fixing that. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and just put it down right now. So 0 enable... What, it looks like this, right? Stack runs to here. Eject on 0. -1 no matter what. And that gets us 1 cycle faster. We probably won't have room for that, right? There's no way. Okay. We can always reattach it if it ends up being sensible. So, what do we need to do? Oh, I forgot to... Sorry. Desk fan is still on. I hope that wasn't too loud in the microphone. Okay, so... we need logic 4 deciding whether to put out a plate or a bowl, which is fairly straightforward. Especially since we can put it out on the first cycle. So like instead of start to plate, it's like, this is going to be a little bit awkward because we're going to end up needing, we're going to need so many multi-mixers. This is where we run into problems, right? Because you end up needing just a huge number of multi-mixers for any kind of logical routing here. But okay. So this is maki, nigiri, sashimi, and soup. Because each one of these things needs to do a bunch of different stuff. Then we put down 2 multi-mixers, all of the maki. I can wire these backwards for a little bit more clarity. The maki and the nigiri all run to plate. These two, the sashimi and the soup, run to a bowl output. Okay. What else do they do? So we could do sentinel values for the fish. But we need right, we're gonna, like, I'm walking us back into the same problems we had last episode. Sentinel values for the fish are a little bit awkward because we also have to prep for soup. But I guess if we're using a big counter to do the sentinel value thing, that actually isn't so bad. Because we just have these two be the sentinel values and then a -1. You know, if it's soup, just don't enable the other things. So +1 on... but we do have the sashimi special case. Well, the sashimi thing just runs to a different... it just runs to a different sequencer, right? So maybe that's not a problem? I guess there is a question of like whether we're actually saving space with this or whether we would rather just use a sequencer for each of the options. Whether that ends up being better. We're still going to end up with a lot of this stuff though. So if we were to run a sequencer for each of the options, 4 of those sequencers feed into plate dispensing, 2 of them feed into the bowls. That's not a big deal. 3 of them feed into the tuna, 3 of them feed into the salmon. Those aren't big deals either. Only 2 of them need nori. However, we do have to make rice in 5 cases, and we even need a little bit of logic on that because one of the recipes, which we have to access twice, uses 2 hits of rice, right? Well, the other one uses 1. Yeah, the maki just uses 1 emit of rice, while the nigiri and the sashimi use 2 each. So that's a little bit more complicated. Soup logic is like off in its own little corner, but at least we have physical space for it here. It does not make sense to do a bunch of hard logic testing to avoid using a separate sequencer for everything if you're taking up more than 2 spaces with the hard logic testing, which I think is what's happening. All right, let's just actually try this. Let's lay the sequencers out now that we have a method of routing here. This thing may not be necessary either. Okay. So this one is wired for nigiri, but we're probably gonna have to change a bunch of stuff about it. Let's make this the other maki. Because we can just make the fish calls directly, right? This doesn't have to be logic based. It can all come out of the sequencers. Sequencers are logic. Having a whole sequencer for the soup feels a little silly. But like, it's just A-B. It's just, give me a bowl, give me some soup. I don't know if there ends up being a more space-efficient way to do this part, though, because it has to run the cycle after the bowl is dispensed. And then I think we're going to find that we still want to do this via counter, even though everything's getting its own sequencer, because aside from the bowl, I don't think any of the other sequencers are going to, they're going to run to the end of their instructions before the stuff is on the tray. We can run the eject from the bowl, I guess. Or the eject for the soup bowl from this thing. But that would require me to wire up another multi-mixer, and we're probably better off just... Yeah, we're probably better off just doing this thing. So C will be the +1, and this should just work then. And quite efficiently. Yeah. There's a dead cycle in it, but it's still so much faster than the other recipes that it can't possibly matter. Okay. So let's talk about this stuff. So what is this? This is the tuna. Okay, so the fish thing is going to need 2 multi-mixers. One of these is make tuna, the other one is make salmon. Because they're both going to get called by multiple recipes. Okay. So what this is doing right now is rice, rice, fish. Wait, this is not the maki. No, this is all wrong. Sorry. This one's the maki. Oops. Not this one. What am I doing? I did not have those laid out in a logical order, and you can see what happens to my brain when I lay things out in not the order that I'm expecting them to be in. Okay, this makes more sense. So, nori, rice. Yeah, nori, rice, tuna. And it routes, and oh, right. One of these needs to set the +5. What is this all doing? It's doing the nori, it's doing the rice. Oh, it's doing the routing there. So yeah, this can be the +5 because we can wire. Oh, that's the wrong thing. This can be the +5 because we can wire both of the maki machines to this. This can be A for both of them. Those are steps they both need. Okay, and then, I mean, it's going to be the same, right? It's just that the B... Oh, no, the B is the same. The C is different. The C runs to the salmon instead. But I think that's 2 orders completely functional right there. Right? None of these machines have any electrical logic at all. Oh, there's no plate. How did I manage to not dispense a plate? Well, that's fine. We can just run the plate instructions from here because, again, this is both of these things need that. That's right. I was just like, I was running the dispensing of the plate or the bowl logicless. I had to turn the desk fan back on, by the way. I apologize, but it is too fucking hot in this room. Okay, yeah. So that's 1 and 2, I believe. Now, granted, we are exceedingly low on remaining logical space. Why is that not... Oh, right, because I didn't actually... That's on me. This is problematic. Because we need to call eject 2 more times here. It'd be really nice if I could make this logical. Well, we don't need... Here, we can... A thing we can do to save space. I mean, I guess this isn't really saving space, but we're... We can wire these together. We're creating a second multi-mixer for the eject command, but I don't know that there's a way around it that's going to be more space efficient. Because it has to be called by 5 different machines, right? Okay, so... C is already wired to this here. We can wire this C here as well and just do the same thing, but with the outputs wired a little bit differently. And right now these aren't using D, which is probably... We can just make D dispense bowl. Or, sorry, dispense plate. What am I talking about? Well, that is, first of all, didn't bother to... Okay. We're going to need a multi-mixer for this. So what I need from you is... In both of these cases, we must dispense plate. Very important. We do also have to set the counter on this thing, so it doesn't just eject immediately. This is a real bummer, because we're going to need another one of these instructions. Shit. Yeah, this doesn't work. We're already out of space. So... A is wired to rice output, which it needs to be. B gets wired to produce the appropriate fish. And like, this works. This should work, I think. Except that I've got these orders backwards. You are producing tuna. But yeah, this is this is the salmon nigiri here. Alright, so both of these orders should totally be functional. And I think the soup is good too. So actually, we have 4 of our 5 orders fixed now. It's just, there's no space left to run the sashimi. The sashimi, it's a real shame because the sashimi does the same shit. I think we're really close. It's like the sashimi is A, B, A, C. What is the C is the eject command for this thing. So the problem is if we run these exactly like we're running the other ones, obviously we have 5 outputs because we need to double up on fish. But if we can find a way to tie like the bowl dispensing into something else, we will be fine. So right now that dispenses rice. Yeah, here's another problem. This is really frustrating. Wait, do I... Yeah, because I need both of these to put out to there, and then this machine also has to call the eject command. But the stacker is unavoidable. Has to happen. Yeah, literally has to happen. So the stack command is running from C on all of these. Yeah, we can run it to here. That's fine. It's a bummer because we're taking up a lot of rack space doing that. If I somehow... I wonder if we could somehow make this counter... No, we can't make the counter work for both of them, right? And this one, it's so tough because, like, I think this is still the most space efficient way to run this stacker, but it really sucks. It really sucks that it's just a little bit more... We're one input over being able to leave it as just a single mixer. It's costing us a lot of space. Okay. So the other thing we would need this to do, A goes to the rice dispenser, and that's another thing that's already full up. So we'd have to put down a multi-mixer to fix that. Sorry, this should probably be connected to D. C needs to go to tuna, B needs to go to salmon, or the other way around, which is what I did, and they're both fine, frankly. Hold on. I'm gonna lay this out. We're gonna see if we can figure out a way to fiddle with this a little bit more. So the rice runs from here. Okay. So that's rice for all 5 machines. A rice for all seasons. Now the problem here is we still need... We have eject wired, and we would call it here. But a thing that we are missing from all of these is the dispensing of the bowl. Now we could do that inside of any of the other orders, but we're like a single space short, I believe, with this wired up this way. Because I need one more multi-mixer to run one of these wires to run it to here, and also another instruction. And none of these instructions are unique to this machine. So there's nothing where I could just wire the bowl up. Could I get the soup down to a single output? Or down to like a multi-mixer? I think the answer is no, right? There's no way to multi-mix the fact that the soup has to come out on a different count than the bowl does. Well, unless... What if... No, never mind. I was looking at this up here, and we have a little bit of empty space, and I was wondering if I could reconfigure things a little bit, such that we could like have a scanner trigger the placement of the soup. But that's not better. That having even the naive scanner that's just something is in front of me, takes up an extra rack space, right? So we're really close to being able to do this. If I could get either of these ejects, or either this eject or this rice processed in a more efficient way, such that we weren't using 2 multi-mixers to feed into it, that would be good enough. The problem is the nori assembly. The nori assembly really sucks. Because in every other case, we could just have the thing wired stack eject. Gosh, we're so close. Right, like if we fire the machine from here, it's going to run 5 of the orders correctly. At a cost of 255, and we're going to see here what the actual cycle count is. It's a lot. Yeah, okay. I'm just making sure that there aren't any errors in the other orders here. Okay. What if we... No, the only way to do that would be to pull out more sequencers. Oh, I'm not calling the eject here at the right times. Did I not wire this up the same? Oh, because it was this... Yeah, right. You have to eject the first one and the second one. I was kind of thinking, what if we hooked up the output of the fish? Oh, right. Yeah, this isn't connected to there either. Which is a problem. It's a problem for running testing. It's the same problem that we've been looking at. Because it is always the case that if you're going to dispense fish, you're going to dispense rice first. But the maki really complicates it. Because you don't, in the case of the maki, you don't dispense the same amount of... No, you totally do. And that could stack rice and then fish. Wait, yeah, why was I talking about this, like... It's always 2 rice, 2 fish. Could I maybe just... Well, that doesn't actually save space. I was thinking, what if I just took out the rice thing and instead made a what if I took out the 2 rice multi-mixers and instead just had an on start make 2 rice thing, and we time all of the orders around its function? The thing is, if we did that, that could also call eject. We could retime everything because we always have to produce 2 rice. We always have to produce an eject command. Okay, hold on a second. Let me make a copy of this. We're gonna rip a bunch of stuff out here. So this and this come out. Also this and this. I'm gonna pull the soup thing down here just to get it out of the way. Let's put in a sequencer that runs on start, produces 2 shots of rice. So let's say like that. And then calls the eject command on this, because that compresses 4 multi-mixers worth of garbage into only 2 spaces, and I think makes the puzzle possible from there. So we have to redesign a couple of these setups, and I think it's going to slow things down a little bit, but it's fine. Okay, so B was the rice command, D was the eject command on these 2. So on A, we are right, emitting nori, doing the routing, setting the stack counter, and spitting out the plate. Okay. Perfect. All of that stuff needs to happen in both cases. Then the only difference between these two is fish logic. And we could set up a sentinel value to care about the fish, but doing so is not actually better space than just using a sequencer for this purpose. Okay, I'm super okay with that. So let's just retime the fish. So let's see. The nori comes out. In 2 cycles, it will be right here. The rice can come out the next cycle. Then the first fish should come out the cycle after that. And then after that. And then we need... So like this cycle, it's on the first belt. This cycle, it gets stacked. This is when the eject command happens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And we should never need to eject earlier than that, right? This should be acceptable for all of the different iterations. Let's try it like this. That, oh, yeah, you do have to actually... Why did I put that in the C column? You do have to actually call eject. Okay, I think we're all good then. Cool. Okay. So then we want to count this one exactly the same way. It feels bad to have the duplicate, like these machines that function almost exactly the same way, but the logic conditionals are really awkward to do in this system. Okay, let's talk about making nigiri. So, the nigiri used to output fish on A. We don't need it to do that anymore. So now we want to output rice on A. Now we want to output on 3 and 5 the fish, and then that's actually it, right? Isn't that kind of all we're doing? Oh, well, we do need to set the +3. So yeah, we still do this. Oh, right, we need multiple ejects, is the problem. Shit. Okay, well, so I think we still need one eject multiplexer. But now that we can compress these cases a little bit better, now we don't need 2 multimixers for eject, and we don't need any multimixers for the rice. Because what we have to do now is... That's going to eject on 7 naturally, but it has to also eject on 5. And that's true of both the machines. Or both of the nigiris. Yeah, okay. Okay, cool. Nothing about the soup has changed. The soup is still totally functional. So now we just need the sashimi thing to happen. The sashimi machine is no longer responsible for the output of its own rice, which actually makes things really a lot easier. Because we can go this fish here, this fish there. We have to do an eject on 5, and we can just output the bowl here. Wait, where's the step that's outputting the plate in the Right, it's that D instruction. The D instruction is setting the thing and outputting the plate, which we actually kind of need it not to be doing. Right, I have to separate those concerns. So this is why I needed one more. Hold on. This is why we needed one more multi-mixer. Because I have to separate those ideas. So D is wired to plate, which is fine. This is the run to +3. So both of these are doing that, and then also setting +3. While this one is... The thing is, that doesn't have to be a multi-mixer. No, it does, because we need to set +3 for multiple things. But they can... those concerns don't have to be wired together, actually, which means these can just run directly into the dispense plate because they have an extra output now. So they all run into the make +3 thing. And then this has a multi-mixer because it has too many outputs. And the multi-mixer sets +3, but also outputs bowl. And that, I think, is a functional machine? Let's try to run the sashimi order. Yeah, because this is plate, set up the stack counter, fish eject. This is bowl and set up the stack counter, for which we had to spend a multi-mixer, but we have the space now. I think this is going to work. And it's maybe like a cycle slower than it maybe needs to be, but I think the time that it takes to do anything other than make maki is irrelevant. We're going to be like very dominated by the speed of the maki here. Oh. Right. We need to not call this on start, though. Shit. Because there's one thing where this doesn't get used. So close. So close. So how do we... How do I make that work? We don't have room for another multi-mixer, is a problem. So we can't just wire multiple machines to this. And it would be a real problem if we could, even if that was the plan, because it's still wiring to them on 5. So what we need here is like a... Oh, no, it's actually fine, right? We just call stop on the first cycle. Right, because that'll stop it before it emits the... Yeah, that'll stop it right before it emits the rice. Yeah. Yeah, that totally works. That's right. There's a stop command for stuff, and it just so happens that we had a cycle of dead space built into the front of the thing. So yeah, I still don't love the layout of the belts here. That puts us on, like, I can't remember if that's going to count as a 24 or a 25, but it puts us on low 20s when I bet there's a way to get it. I bet there's a way to get it around 20. It's just, this is such a long path, and everything else is done by the time this is even moving, and I don't know. But I think this is actually like this is a solution, and I'm feeling pretty excited about that. And we did end up needing a lot of our outputs on a lot of these machines. It's really funny that the maki, which is like in theory the most expensive or the most complicated recipe in terms of total number of actions that occur, turns out to be the really simple one in terms of rack space. But I guess that's because it takes all of its complication is in physical space. Yeah, that's totally functional. And not only is that functional, that's the fastest anyone has done it. This might be, so it's running from the cycle thing here is running from 0 to 80. So it's possible that this bar is, in fact, it's definitely the case. This bar represents more than one cycle value. So it might be the case that other people have it at like 23 or 22, but nobody is left of us at the very least. Somehow, we did it. Crystal Lyman gives it 4 stars. Was finally able to taste this food, which has a kind of near mythic status in certain corners. And I was not disappointed. Near mythic food gets 4 stars. I guess I appreciate she's saving the 5th star for actually mythic food. The year 2000 gives it a 5 star, a veritable cornucopia of ineluctable flavors. Yeah, I mean, I guess they're as ineluctable as any flavor is, really. Orpheus gives it 5 stars, says, always wanted to try tuna ever since I read about how it disappeared. It's good. It's good. No wonder people overfished it. Because, you know how humans are. All right, and we get one last little thing here. Greetings, operator. When we started the 20th century experience, we believed we were onto something. But even we couldn't have predicted the overwhelming response from our visitors. It turns out a taste of life in the 20th century is not enough for many of our visitors, and after returning regularly, some are planning to live their entire lives here. Naturally, this includes the old idea of what was called full-time employment. In a happy coincidence, the introduction of workers to our park brings us one step closer to being the most authentic reproduction of the 20th century. Of course, now that we have a large number of people willing to assemble our food using their own 2 hands, we no longer require your services to design automated food assembly machines, so best of luck in your future endeavors. Get the fuck out, the management. Hooray! We made the world like a massively worse place. That's cool. Also, if you purchase the deluxe edition of the 20th Century Food Court, you should now open the sealed Zachtronics envelope. Well, guess what? It turns out I actually did that, and I do have the thing. Let's go have a look at it. Okay, let's have a look at this stuff. So, first of all, I don't know if these are actually part of the package. These were just on the same shelf where I had stored the stuff. They're little silica gel packets that look like the title card to an episode of Neon Genesis Evangelion. I just thought that was kind of funny and weird. Anyway, let's get those out of here. So, we have what looks to be the order form for the original order form for when the person bought the Sawayama. This is not like our character. This is the person who wrote all the text entries, right? Because it's dated 89. Computers were expensive. You paid a lot more for a lot less back in the day. We have some other stuff here. We have some coasters, which are cool. The home of the good stuff. We have actual physical construction manuals for the Steed Force things. These are, I think, exactly the same ones that appear in Last Call. So this sticker sheet here, I believe when I bought the deluxe edition stuff, I was emailed a design file to 3D print Sawayama. So if you had a 3D printer, you could print one of those out and then sticker it up, and it would look like the thing properly. Also, there's just a couple of stickers over here. Obviously, like the last Call BBS one, I could just put on my computer case or whatever. That's cool. We have a card here for Tanner Ellis, Inner Sanctum Entertainment, with presumably Tanner's personal phone number. There's something about the phone number in the text file, isn't there? I guess this is the card. This is the card that the person who gave our character the computer was making reference to. And on the back, it's got a bunch of that stuff, a bunch of the glyphs, which I'm sure do not mean anything at all. But finally, most importantly, here's the thing. Do not open until instructed. Well, we have, at this point, been properly instructed. And unfortunately, I'm right-handed and holding the camera with my right hand. So, apologies for the clumsiness here. The seal is remarkably difficult to remove. Okay. What do we have? Oh, that's very cool. That's like an iron-on patch Oh, that rules. Actually, is there a letter or anything? No, I think this is our soul reward. But I am actually overjoyed. This is so fucking cool. Okay, that was cool. I'm very pleased with that. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with it yet, but I'm very pleased with it nonetheless. So, I guess that could be a place that we end the episode. But what if we did just like a little bit of celebratory Dungeons and Diagrams? We still have Chip Wizard to really dig into and tackle. I gotta be honest with you, it's so dry looking. I did the second puzzle and y'all, I don't know. A lot of that one might be off camera. But the Forbidden Path, we're definitely going to actually solve. So that's all stuff you can look forward to in the future. I'm not going to start any of that right now. Right now, I just want to dungeon some diagrams. As you can see, I've been having a pretty nice time with the Shadow Caverns here. Let's just do a couple, shall we? No, I don't have a problem. I can stop whenever I want. I don't know what you're talking about. So obviously, this is pretty much setting the bounds for our treasure room. So we know this has to be open to prevent a dead end up here. So that's the exit to the treasure room. I will say, with these somewhat procedurally generated puzzles, it is a shame the degree of difficulty is very, very up and down. I mean, how could it not be, right? It is the only thing it could be, but it's so hard to know what you're going to get when you sit down to one of these. So these are all walls to make sure that that's functional. And we're basically almost done with this one already. One of these two is the opening by which the hallway reaches down there. I mean, this is definitely a wall. This is definitely open. That's quite a lot of information right there. We have two more walls in this row, and at the moment they really could be anywhere, right? This connects up just fine no matter what. I guess actually we know these are walls, which makes things a little bit more straightforward. So we have two walls left in this column and only one left in this column. Obviously that's open. This has to be a wall, which means this also has to be a wall to prevent the thing. And then, yeah, sometimes the Shadow Caverns give you a real easy one. Other times, I've had a couple of nightmares here. Not all of my 70 puzzles have gone down quite so smoothly. Okay, so we don't exactly know where this one is yet, because it could be in this row or it could be in this row. Actually, yeah, it totally could be in this row. And then the hole into the rest of the exit from it. Well, no, sorry. There's only room for one wall in this row. The treasure room has to be up here. And the one wall is there. Which means all of that stuff is solid. This has to be open, so there's all your walls. So the exit is definitely in this southern row here. What else do we know? I guess we know this. Not that I necessarily expect that to be super valuable on its own. We know that as well. So there's two wall tiles in these three, and we know this has to be one of the walls. It certainly can't be open with both the tiles around it being walls. I guess all of these are walls, which means actually that's a pretty significant amount of information right there. So these two both have to be walls to prevent us from creating a weird 2x2. That is the thing that absolutely cannot be the case. Wait, did I screw this up somewhere? Because it sure is looking like we're going to have to close something off in a way that doesn't make sense. So the walls, yeah, these definitely cannot both be walls. So this cannot be open. Has to be a wall. But something's goofy here. I mean, this is legal. Why would that not be the case? No, that's fine. Why had I assumed this was going to be... Ah, right. Because this actually does create a problem. That is unlikely to be true on account of the rules. On account of the rules of the game. So you end up having to do this and that. And then you have too many... Yeah, I goofed this one up. All right, hold on a second. We're taking it back to the drawing board. We're gonna... I wish there was a... Is there a reset? Yeah, there is a reset button. Okay. We're taking this one back to the drawing board. So we know this for sure. We know this for sure. These things are very easy. If there's only one wall in this row, the treasure room must extend up into it. Because we know this row is also treasure room. Because the treasure room's definitely not down here. So we do know that stuff. Now the question is, okay, we know one of these two is the wall and the other one is open, which means this is a wall and these two must be open. And if that is the case, this can't be a wall, so this has to be a wall because this has to be accessed from below, and then we have to not create a 2x2. And if that's the case, then this is the opening for this goblin. Okay, pretty straightforward stuff so far. We have 4 wall tiles in this row, so that stuff's all good. This is definitely open as well. Here it remains the case that this is not legal, so this must be a wall. One of these 2 tiles is a wall, but we don't know which one yet. Okay, completing this column is pretty easy, and that gives us that. This can't be open, so this has to be the place where... wait a second. See, there's a problem here already, which is that this column has to have a wall tile in it, and it certainly can't be here. But if that's the case, then this is impossible. So my logic is screwed up already. I already made a misread somewhere. If the treasure room is in this column, then it is for sure the case that it's all treasure room, 4 walls, and the 1 monster. This is right. I'm wondering about this line. Am I maybe wrong about this? I mean, we know this is open because that column's very solid. But like, right, the valid setups for the wall here are this or this. So this must be a wall, which means this does have to be open, which dictates a huge amount of stuff that seems impossible. Like, if there's exactly 1 wall tile in this column, it can't be in the treasure room, it can't be here, because we know this for sure, and it can't be here. It has to be in one of these 2 spaces. I mean, there's no chance that I'm wrong about where the treasure room is there? Because that would be the most obvious thing. But, like, this is the case. And if this is the case, then we know this at the very least, right? Well, okay. We know this. What if I'm wrong and this is the treasure room? It couldn't possibly be, though. Because then, like... these 2 tiles can't both be open. And there's no way for the treasure room to be in this column because we'd have an open tile adjacent to a monster, and we'd have that thing where the treasure room seals itself off from the rest of the dungeon. I do think this is right. This can't be an open tile because if it was, then, you know, we get into very obvious trouble here. This can't be an open tile for about 600 reasons. And we're left in very much the same spot that we were just in. It is still the case that this can't be a wall. Still the case that all of this has to be true. Wait, hold on. This doesn't have to be a wall. There has to be a wall between... Yeah, this is where I was screwed up. There has to be a wall between a monster and the treasure room, except in a case where that tile is valid as an exit from the treasure room. Which actually totally is the case here. The hallway could absolutely do that. So that's... I was making an assumption there that was not reasonable because I was not accounting for where the entrances to the treasure room might be. Okay. That's important. So, how do we figure this? We know that. And this and this. This part I think is still correct. So that tells us that this is a wall. Four of these 5 tiles are walls. And this one can't be the open one because then you get a dead end. So that's definitely a wall, which means that's definitely open. And if this is open, this has to be as well as this. So we're really narrowing down this column's wall positions. Oh, we have this column's wall positions, actually. So that tells us that that is, in fact, open. Yep, that was the problem. That means these are closed, and yep. Okay, these are open. Bad assumption. It's just a bad read is what it is. Okay, so this is all walled off, which does not leave us with a lot of wall tiles left in most of the rest of the dungeon, actually. So obviously these treasure rooms are interesting. None of them can extend into here, so they are both right up against the wall. And we already know where the entrance tile is for both of them. One of these two is a wall, so one of these two is a wall. And then we have one more wall tile that I don't think we can really jump at yet. Oh, I guess I know this as well. So this has to be open at the very least. And then either one of these, like one of them's closed and one of them's open, and I don't think we can actually say which is which right now. But that's definitely the case. There's 3 tiles left in this column to figure, and 2 of them are walls, which is interesting. One of these 2 is a wall. How do we make these last couple of calculations? So there's 1 wall left in this column. There's 2 walls left in the 4 tiles in this column. 2 in the 3 tiles in this column. Well, okay, let's talk about this. So there's not all that many valid arrangements, right? Like something like this doesn't work because then you end up with both of these open. So it can't be both of the outside tiles. We also know it can't be, it can't be both of the tiles on either side. It also definitely can't be both of the inside tiles because then there's not room for another open space on this thing. And it can't be both of the outside tiles because then you end up with a 2x3 area. Or a 2x2 area here, and then one of the monsters completely blocked off. So it has to be alternating. It's either this or those 2. Which is interesting. And then the one extra tile in this row is underneath whichever one of these is a wall. So that accounts for... Well, actually, that can only be presented one way, right? Because this is... Of these, this is the only column that can take 2 more walls. Yep, that has to be that way. And that means this and... There we go. All right, last one. Is this the last one for the series as a whole? Oh, I don't know. Listen, I'd like to tell you, yeah, for sure. But the fact is, I sure do like this game a lot. Okay, so a bunch of these are really easy. I do feel like it's very appropriate to end the episode on one that has a lot of skeletons in it. That's good fun. So this has to be open in order to prevent a dead end, as ever. There's exactly one way through this wall, and it can't be right here because the skeleton queen would dead end us. As, in her way, she does dead end us all eventually, you know? You can run, but only for so long. Okay, we have a limited number of places where the walls can be over here. This is definitely not a wall, which means this is the other wall. Both of those have to be live. One of these two is a wall. It's actually pretty tough to say, I think, for the moment, which one we have here. So 2 of these 3 tiles are walls. Unfortunately, the way things are distributed, it could, I think, be any 2. Three of these 4 tiles are walls. We know this one can't be the open tile, because if it is, then we have a complete block off. So that's for sure a wall, which means these for sure are open, which does give us some of the walls. Okay, it's actually like incredibly good. Very useful. Okay. And look at that. All of the joyous skeletons and their wonderful, beautiful, powerful, terrible as the dawn skeleton queen. Seems like an appropriate crew to see us off. That's going to be it for us for today and for 20th Century Food Court. Thank you all so much for watching. I am still having a really good time with Last Call BBS. I cannot believe how good this game is. And when you come back next time tomorrow, I think we're going to dive back into the Forbidden Path. I'm going to maybe have a little bit of a look at it first because I do not remember why we left off. I expect I was probably stuck on something. I'll try to resolve that a little bit before the camera comes back on. And we'll see you then.